The Minnesota Vikings continue to be disrespected, and Dan Orlovsky just proved it on ESPN's Get Up. What happened, and why is it important? We're going to talk about it here in this video. Strap in. The Minnesota Vikings continue to be overlooked by pretty much everybody outside of the Minneapolis media market. And it's honestly getting a little frustrating. This team is 8-2. They have the best defense in the National Football League. They're fourth in DVOA, which is defense adjusted value over average. That says essentially they are the fourth best team according to the DVOA metric, which has become extremely predictive over the course of time. Not just predictive, but it's a good representation of how good teams are across eras, because it's a metric that's derived to be over the average team. And I think that's important. It's how good a team is based on what they would face at on an average week. That can help you determine a lot of things. That can help you a lot. Now, DVOA is the enemy of the Minnesota Vikings in 2022 when DVOA said that this team was fraudulent, that the 13-4 record wasn't anywhere close to representative for how good this team is. Well, guess what? It's on their side this time. And it should be, because this is a very good football team. Their only two losses were a 2-point loss to the Detroit Lions, which is going to come into play, and a 10-point loss at the Los Angeles Rams the following Thursday. So they didn't even get to rebound from that brutal loss because they had a game 4 days later. And Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp came back. Rest is history. We won't even talk about the missed face mask call. But anyways, the whole point, national media does not understand the Minnesota Vikings. National media does not pay attention. Look no further than ESPN's Get Up and Dan Orlovsky. Because if he would have been paying attention, guess what? He would have known that the Minnesota Vikings went toe-to-toe with the Detroit Lions in Week 7. That it was one of the best games of the year. That the Vikings had the lead with 19 seconds left when Jake Bates hit that game-clinching field goal. All those things matter. And it was interesting on Get Up because Mike Greenberg asked, are the Eagles the number one contenders to beat the Lions to potentially get in the Super Bowl? And the graphic that they had the Vikings third in Super Bowl odds for the NFC. Third. That comes into play here too. This is the quote from Orlovsky. I believe they are. The Eagles are, but I don't think by themselves. I think Philadelphia matches up well because the way that their talent is on the perimeter and their athletic offensive line. But I also think two other teams that I would say are capable of doing it that I feel confident in. That is one, Green Bay, the Packers, and two, the Los Angeles Rams. I think if we're being honest, there's been one team that has gone toe-to-toe with Detroit this year and played them really well. Now the Bucs beat them, but Jared, being Jared Goff, played atrocious in that game in the red zone and turnovers. The Rams in Week 1, meaning that they were the only team to go toe-to-toe with the Lions. And I know that they're going to get in because all the injuries, there are a team, along with the Packers and the Eagles, I think those three are capable of doing it that I had the most confidence in. That's where the frustrating part is. The Vikings went toe-to-toe. They led a significant portion of that game. It wasn't like 5 seconds. Hey, we kicked a game-winning field goal and we only led at the end. They were leading throughout the game. They led in the entire first quarter. They led in the fourth quarter. They came back from an 11-point deficit. And you're going to sit here and tell me that they didn't go toe-to-toe with the Lions? Your job is to analyze the National Football League. Your job is to know the sport. You've done multiple breakdowns of the Minnesota Vikings so far this year, talking about Justin Jefferson, talking about Sam Darnold, talking about Kevin O'Connell. How do you not know that they went toe-to-toe with the Lions? How? It's honestly getting ridiculous that we have to keep trying to defend this team, that we have to keep trying to tell national media who this team is, because they should be paying attention. There are only 32 teams, and there are very few that have as good or better of a record than the Vikings. Number one defense, an emerging quarterback in Sam Darnold. And quite frankly, he's the reason for it. They still think, oh, this is the Sam Darnold that played with the New York Jets that stunk, that got traded to the Carolina Panthers, and that got washed out. No, this is a different Sam Darnold. This is a Geno Smith renaissance Sam Darnold. Kevin O'Connell is helping make Sam Darnold a ton of money next year. Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell are a great team. Sam Darnold's talent, Kevin O'Connell's brilliance, Justin Jefferson on the outside, a good offensive line. This offense can score points on anybody in the National Football League. And you're going to sit here and tell me that they didn't go toe-to-toe with the Lions, that you don't believe in them. Dan Orlovsky, are you sure you're watching them? You were earlier in the year when you were singing their praises. but they lose a super close and competitive game to the Lions. And then they lose to a Rams team that finally got their stars back. And now they've won 3 games in a row. And all of a sudden you completely forget their existence. We need to be better. We need to be better 100% because this is a bunch of crap. It's the 15th largest media market in the nation. Show them some respect because they've earned it and you know they deserve it. Now, you may be frustrated the fact that your most infamous play of running out of the end zone happened the same site where US Bank Stadium sits. The Vikings are deserving of it. You can even hear my dog Odie barking in the background. He's just as mad. Show them some respect. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skull Vikings.